Hey guys, I'm at the Colt booth with the M16A1 Reissue. It is a nice looking gun. It's got the proper Colt stampings on there, AR-15, U.S. government property. They've actually put on the fully automatic selector there, just stamped on the receiver, even though it's a semi-automatic rifle, for the, I don't know, aesthetics, I guess I would say. It feels good, it feels right, it looks right. I just recently shot an SP1 in a match, and there's video of that on our channel. It's neat to see these retro ARs coming back, but one thing I do find a little interesting is that the MSRP on this is right now listed at $24.99. I acquired an original 1980s manufacturer SP1 for $900 in Utah at a pawn shop, so I know that that's a good price, quite honestly, and you don't find them for that low a price, but when you can get an original SP1, not a reissue, for $1,000 bucks, $1,500 bucks, I'm kind of wondering what the deal is and what justifies this Colt price tag of $2,500 on what is, albeit a very cool Colt AR-15 variant, but otherwise not that different in any other way. So we're going to try to find a Colt rep and get an answer to that in a moment. I want to say everything about this feels right. The trigger's kind of awful, which it is in the original gun. It's just heavy and gritty, but it works. It does have the pyramidal front sight as a reservoir post. The sight picture feels right. The balance feels right. Everything about this is right. Unfortunately, this is when this happened. Oh well, that's a different problem. Although we still don't have this, so Ian wouldn't enjoy shooting it as much. So we have the disadvantage of that and not the advantage of this, but that is of course correct to this model. But everything about it feels right. Oh, and this is interesting. You know, in 1970, they actually went to the A1 birdcage, but in this particular variant, we still see the three-prong flash hider, which is of course aesthetically definitive for the rifle, and everyone thinks that this is the standard, but this is a period of time when that A1 flash hider really started becoming the norm more than the three-prong flash hider post. But they probably did this because it's correct. I'm sure Colt did their research, but also because this is what people expect is another reason. So the minute you put an A1 birdcage on there, which I've seen with my SP1, you get a ton of comments. Why doesn't it have the prong flash hider? And well, because that's what people think there should be. But the reality is, in history, they started going away from this as early as 1969. Guys, we're here with Jake from Colt, yes. Right? And so I already told you really, but the question we have is, you know, these retro ARs are awesome, and it's awesome that it's Colt doing this. Right. But in this world right now, there's a lot of retro ARs starting to come to the market. Some of them as low as like $1,500. This is priced at $2,500, or at least the MSRP is. Yep. And so what I wanted to get is, we get this question a lot, we wanted to hear from someone at Colt, why? Why is that? What justifies that, essentially?
Well, the justification is that we had to completely retool everything, and so that we could bring back the original gun, it had to be 100%, right? Okay. Because people are very picky about their historical firearms, of course.
And that's what this is.
And that's exactly what this is, 100% correct. So, and in order to do that, a lot of tooling, a lot of reworking of tooling, just to make sure that it's 100%. And then, on top of that, it's a limited production run of only 2,500 per month.
Okay.
So, the margins there.
Why the limited production run? Is it because that's what you think the market will bear, or do you think that that's just how, or is it to keep it a more collectible item? I mean, what's the logic there?
It was really just to keep the desire there. You know.
Okay, so the Colt's object with this is not to saturate the market with retro ARs, but to put out a quality reproduction identical to the original gun at low volume.
Yep, and to pay homage to the historical pieces and the Vietnam era. Yeah.
Yep. One thing we get a lot of questions about, and you may or may not know the answer to this, 1968-69 is when they started switching to the A1 birdcage as opposed to the prong. And on my SP1, for example, it has the birdcage. And we get comments constantly, why does it not have the prong flash hider? I'm sure this is correct to what you're trying to do, but when you see the forward assist, but you also see the birdcage, the prong, that is interesting because those are two different things that were transitional at that period of time, right? This was added, this was going away, but in this particular model, we see both of the old and the new at once. Do you have any input on that?
It's just what they picked to do.
Okay. It is definitely the aesthetic, definitive Vietnam AR with the prong. Okay. Well, thank you. Interesting to see this come to the market. I wish you success with it. All right, I think it's hard because it's a challenging price market, but
understood.
But I understand it is a legitimate Colt too. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
All right.
So we wanted to do a little bit of follow-up here. We talked to a bunch of other people at Colt. We appreciate getting the official company line, but really I felt like there was more to this story than just the cost of tooling up. I look at something like Troy making basically the same gun without the Colt name on it and being able to do so for half the price. So what's the real story? And we got a little bit of behind-the-scenes information from some Colt people who, for obvious reasons, don't want to be named. And it sounds like a lot of the management at Colt, or some of the management, decided that they specifically wanted this to be a limited production gun. A lot of a lot of the guys really passionate about the project wanted 10,000 or 15,000 or a lot more of these guns. Management decided to limit it to a production run of only, 2,500? That's something that we've kind of seen from Colt before. I get the feeling myself that part of this is wanting to make a little bit of a price exclusivity thing because it's limited edition. You can only get it officially by Colt from Colt, so they're going to jack the price way up. We saw them do this like with the 32 automatic, the Colt 1903s that they redid. They announced those at SHOT Show last year. And those were also priced kind of like this. They were priced substantially above the cost of original replicas, or original existing guns. For a replica, it was like $1,200 for a Colt 1903 new production. I kind of get the same vibe. I think they're looking for a collector's market of people who are really interested in that Colt name and having it technically be Colt, and they're going to put it up on the wall, and they're going to dust it occasionally, and God forbid you actually shoot the thing because you might scratch it. I think that's the market that they're going for, which I really hate to see. I think that's really unfortunate for Colt. I think they had the possibility with this rifle to make a fantastic rifle. The SP1 in its original guise, the M16A1, is a great rifle. And if they had been willing to make the decision to try and sell more of them at a more reasonable price, I think it could have been very successful. I kind of expect that at $2,500, yeah, you'll find a handful of people who are willing to pay that because it's the Colt one, but those are the only people that they're going to sell to.
So what Ian's trying to tell you is Colt wants to be the Apple Macintosh of the firearms industry. Essentially, you're buying a name, and in some ways you're buying quality for sure, but there's a price exclusivity in owning that particular product, and they've seen that from them before, and I have to admit, I agree, it's not a winning strategy. I think they'd be better off putting out a lower price point, more shooter-grade replica, and they'd see a lot more adaptation. Oh well, we'll see what happens.